we got 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four. It's funny, I don't hear anybody say that, but what if they both get to the final? It's funny, I don't hear anybody say that. They're certain that the Big 12 isn't the best conference, but I don't hear anybody clamoring about the Big Ten being the best conference with 2 teams in the Final Four. So which one is it? Does tournament success matter or does it not?
Maybe we can ask Kurt Helin who the 9 seed is in the Big Ten.
Kurt Helin, do you have an answer?
The answer is always Purdue.
That's a good answer by you.
Sport.
That's right, regardless of sport. Pro wrestling, 9th team in the Big Ten, Kurt.
Yeah, exactly. Probably Purdue.
Yeah, college wrestling, I mean. Yes, correct. Purdue. Kurt Helin with us on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready hotline. I'll start with kind of a topic that we've been batting around for most of the day today. Serge Ibaka, obviously the Thunder are fighting for a playoff spot, and
right.
even if they do make it, the chances of them getting out of the first round are very slim. If the doctors cleared Serge Ibaka, even if he wasn't 100%, if you're Sam Presti, are you playing him?
That's a really good question.
Feel free to make an article out of it on ProBasketballTalk.com.
That's a really good point and question, because I think that obviously the history of the Thunder in dealing with injuries has been to try to favor the player, in the sense of the long term of the player, not rushing him back. And clearly, maybe, we'll see. It depends on who you ask. A lot of people think maybe KD came back too fast, but I don't think that was because of pressure from. If he did, it wasn't certainly from Presti and everybody leaning on him as much as just Durant's kind of nature is to push through these things and get back on the court. I'd be hesitant to, because, like you said, with or without him, and even if he comes back and is, as we all know, you don't just necessarily come back at 100% from this kind of knee thing. It takes a little while. But if you've even got 80 or 90% of him, because you're matching up with Golden State without Kevin Durant, it's a real tough slog. It's just a tough go, and I don't think I'd want to risk the fact that you guys are, when healthy next season, very legitimate title contenders for, winning a game or 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's it's a conundrum. It's absolutely a conundrum if it ever got to that.
If he's back and he's pushing and he's really ready to go, then I don't know that I hold him out, but I also don't know that I'm like, hey, play him 40 minutes either.
And we have we're kind of at the point now where we would never know. I guess my point, we would never know if this were the case publicly that Ibaka is ready to play. I mean, the Thunder would just say no, he's not ready to play. I mean, he's still not healthy. So we would never know if this opportunity ever presented itself. But
what happens if he gets cleared halfway through the series? Sort of like the conference finals last year, where clearly you were trying to get him back and needed him, and we're happy to have him back. In this case, if he comes back and you're down 2-0, are you gonna? I mean, what do you again? Is it really worth it? Right. For winning one of the 2 home games, or is it really? I don't know that I'd push him for that. In fact, I'd probably counsel him otherwise. But Ibaka's a competitor; he'll want to be out there.
I'm sure Kurt Helin with his ProBasketballTalk.com, part of the NBC Sports Network, on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready hotline on 107.7 The Franchise. I'm sure you get asked this in other markets that you get interviewed in, and this is the first time really that we've asked it here in a long time in Oklahoma City, but. In these sorts of spots where, the 8 seed, for all intents and purposes, is a lame duck in the playoffs, do you ever think about just go ahead and mailing it in and taking the 1% chance at a top 3 slot in the NBA draft, or no?
You know what? I think it depends on the situation, and in general, no. Like, you don't ever tell your players, like Boston right now, is a good example. Would Boston be better off in the lottery? Probably. I mean, honestly, they've got I lost track of how many Danny Ainge racked up, but I think it's like 642 picks in the next 5 years. And they're really building for the future. So being in the lottery would make some sense for them. And even if it is a limited chance, that said, for their players, it's very, look, the experience should be you fighting for this, and it'd be a good, they're building something there. Brad Stevens, turns out, can coach. Let's get these guys this experience. Let's fight for it. In your case, it's, the lottery, the picks you're getting will be the picks you're getting, kind of. It's not going to make a big difference in where you're going to be in the next couple years. You're not in rebuilding mode, as you guys well know. So in your case, get into the playoffs. Hey, get the owner a couple of paydays with some extra home games, and go from there.
Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk is with us here on 107.7 The Franchise. Kurt, there's a lot that's been made here locally about the Thunder's lack of defense lately, and obviously when you've got Ibaka out and Robertson's a decent defensive player, he's out injured. Collison's out, Durant's out. But really more so than anybody, a big deal's been made of Enes Kanter's lack of defense. I know that's one of the things Utah didn't like about him. Is that something that with an offseason here in Oklahoma City he can get better at? Or are Thunder fans going to have to get used to just taking the good on the offensive side of the ball and, coupling it with the bad you're going to see defensively from him?
He can get better. Will is a better question, and I don't have that. We'll see how much effort he puts in, but I can guarantee you, Quinn Snyder in Utah and other people leaned on him for defense there and weren't getting enough, and that's why he was kind of the third wheel where they're using Favors. Favors is a solid defender. He's nice, and then Gobert, who's phenomenal. It works better as a pairing, and I think it's a combination of you're going to push him to get better, but you're also going to have to find ways within the system to hide his shortcomings a little bit. He can improve. He's never going to be locked down. If he can just become a good team defender, you've obviously got all these people around him, like that you mentioned, who happen to be out, who can help. So I think he can get better. I don't know that you're necessarily committed to this, but I don't know that you're going to see that overnight with him. It hasn't happened yet. I mean, you're going to have to take some of the good with the bad.
All right. I've got 2 one-word answer questions for Kurt Helin today. A bonus.
Purdue.
I guess that would make 3.
It's odd, Zach, because I've got a one-word question myself.
Oh, well then we have 3. Okay, you go first, Todd.
All right, yes or no? Alonzo Mourning said recently that if Michael Jordan played under today's rules, he would average 50 points a game. Yes or no?
No.
Ooh, he thought about it. That means he must have thought he'd be close to it.
We have stumped.
It's tempting to say that. Let's put it this way. It's tempting to say that, certainly.
One word, Helin.
What also people forget is the zone rules are really different right now. There's things you could do to take away some of the things Michael did. Also, what Michael was phenomenal at was finishing through contact. His ability to absorb and frankly, dish out in a Walter Payton kind of way, contact as he drove and play, do that, not just hit jumpers. So he was perfect for that era. This is a different look. He'd still be Jordan. He'd still be phenomenal, but I don't know that he'd put up that many more because it's just because of the zone defenses and stuff, it's just different.
2 things real quick before I ask my 2 questions. Number 1, I love that we made Kurt Helin think. That was good. And 2, you are not good at following.
Run in the wheel, man. That's not a good.
That's right. And 2, you are not very good at following directions.
No,
One-word answer, Kurt Helin. 1 word. All right. All right. Now I think I forgot. Okay. The best chance of Golden State being beat in the playoffs, in the Western Conference playoffs, is by
Memphis.
And the 9 seed in the West will be
The Pelicans this week. They're playing well. The Pelicans.
1 word, Helin.
Pelicans.
See you later, buddy. Always fun having you on, man.
Directions thing, by the way. She'll line up behind you on that one.
We always love having you on, buddy. Thanks.
Take care, guys.
All right, man. Kurt Helin on 107.7 The Franchise.